Hey guys, welcome to Hooked, the Kayak Angler's Resource. Today, me and JT are going to talk tandem kayaks.
Travis, how's it going, buddy?
Good, buddy. Hey, you ready to talk about some tandems?
I am. It's actually a topic that I've been seeing a lot of people posting about, and one of the biggest knocks on kayaks, or kind of the sassy comments we get, is that you can only go with one person, and that is just definitely not true these days.
Yeah, and I know you got kids, and a family, and myself, my kids are, I'm an empty nester, and both my kids are up and gone. And so it's just me and the wife. And, you get to these recreational things that you do, these hobbies that, you have to make a decision sometimes, and this is not a tournament angler thing, of course, but, you have to make that decision. Do you go play golf by yourself, or do you get your wife into golf? Do you go kayaking by yourself, or do you get your wife into kayaking, and tandems are something that I really enjoy, and I'm ready to talk about them a little bit.
So we're having some technical difficulties in this podcast too. So as long as people can just give us some patience too. But yeah, we lost you a little bit when we were talking about uh, having a family member or a friend or somebody join you. So I think what we'll do is we'll kind of go through some of your favorites from the fishing side of it, and then we'll even talk about some of the recreational or inflatables too, because there's a lot of cool stuff coming out too. So let's maybe just jump right into it. And kind of the starting point for fishing kayaks is probably the Vanhunks Sauger.
Yeah, I love that kayak, and Vanhunks has done a great job with that whole design. They use that same whole design for the pike, the shad, the elite pro angler. That whole design carries over into the Sauger. Um, Great seats on that thing, double compartments to either do a prop drive, pedal drive, or they even have a motor drive option. Um, Also, that thing has several rod holders. So, a lot of people don't think about this, but with rod holders, that can either be for a rod, it can be for a net, it can also be for a canopy. And so the Sauger is kind of a versatile kayak because not only can you use that as just an all out fishing rig, but if somebody wanted to get it just as a super stable, super comfortable, just cruising rig, you could put a canopy on it. It's a great kayak.
Yeah, and what I'll say is, I've mentioned it all the time, but I have the Vanhunks Pike. What I actually really like about Vanhunks is for a lower entry point, you get a lot of the features like in-haul storage, the front hatch. A lot of that stuff just doesn't come at the lower price point. And like you said, what I think is really cool is that little toolbox that I have on screen right now is removable, and then you put the drive box in there, so you can do a fin drive, a prop drive, or the like the power that you said as well. And what I really like is you can take those between. So if I had the Vanhunks Sauger and the Vanhunks Pike, all those drives interplay with each other. So I really do think like
Right.
it gives you a ton of room to grow into your kayak.
Right. And when you're buying a kayak, especially a tandem kayak, you need to look at some things. Like one, one thing that a lot of companies are starting to do that I really enjoy is they're making that kayak usable if you're not a tandem. If you want to just take it out by yourself, you can do it. A lot of kayaks, especially the paddle onlys, if you go out by yourself, you're either too far back or too far forward. Um, the Sauger has a rudder system that can be controlled from the front or the rear. So if you wanted to go out by yourself, it's easy because you're not trying to swing that nose around. You have the rudder to do the steering with. And the Sauger gives you a little bit of best of both worlds because it's going to give you the options to put drives in it. It's going to give you the rudder system. You can all out fish that thing. You can just make it just a cruiser if you want. But it's really set up that way. And the nice thing about Van Hunks is they think about someone who's um, getting into it, and they give you the paddles. They give you paddle leashes. They give you not only the internal rod holders that are already built into the kayak, but on the Sauger you get two external rod holders. So if you're landing a fish and you want to, use that, you can. But it's nice because all you need is a life jacket, and you're good to go on a Van Hunk product.
And then moving on, we will go to the Crescent CK2 Venture.
The CK2 is a very cool vessel. The nice thing about it is it has 3 seat positions. So we sell that kayak quite often just as a single. Then you can buy an extra seat and you can actually move that seat back and then put a seat forward. So you can turn that into a tandem, but a lot of guys just use that just as a single, which is great if you don't really have the budget to build 2 kayaks. You have a young son or young daughter, or somebody else that you want to take with you, and you're fishing tournaments on the weekends and you're doing all that, but then you want to go out and just fish and take somebody with you. You can use the same boat. You don't have to go buy another boat to do that. So the CK is a great vessel. The CK1 is kind of the start of that, and then they come up with the CK2 with the ability to move those. A lot of really cool innovations through Crescent with a lot of their cam straps and different stuff like that. They also do a great job of putting the sea deck throughout the entire boat, even in the cup holders and things like that. So very comfortable boat, very good river rig. It's fast, very fast, and one of my tops for sure.
Yeah, and that's interesting because when I was talking over kayaks with you before we started, this one wasn't even on my list because I didn't know. And even here, looking at the website, it does say like number of paddlers 1. So I feel like this might be kind of a secret gem that you might turn people onto here.
Absolutely. I know that when we were going over this list and I was talking to even our buyers and things like that, they were like, what? That's not a tandem. I'm like, absolutely it is. It's set up to be converted. So basically all you do is buy a seat. And a lot of people, they do, Crescent has a high-low seat. They have a high seat and a low seat. And it's really nice when you buy a high seat and put it in the back, and then it doesn't affect your view because the person in front is just a little bit lower, almost like your automobiles where they put the back seats just a tad higher so you can get that view. Kind of the same concept, and it's a good boat. I know Jake Hepner, one of our pro staffers, he has one, and it's turned it into an all-out fishing rig, and you can do that with it, or take your stuff off of it and take it out with the family on a float trip. It'll do both.
That's like the Travis special then. You're going to get the secret. Yeah, you're going to get the secret out for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next one for fishing kayaks, I pulled up the Feelfree Lure 2 Tandem Overdrive.
Yeah, that thing is, that's a great kayak, kind of the same platform as the rest of the lures. But you do get that just amazing seat that they offer in the lure line. So you have that seat that has just a ton of travel up and down. That's a great kayak if you're ever in a river that has some little bit quicker water, a little faster moving water. You can drop that seat down and get your center of gravity lower. And then their overdrive system is nice. It actually has a compartment where you can add a motor. So yeah, the overdrive is a very nice system. It has a compartment in it just for storage, but then that compartment comes out and you can actually put a Feelfree motor in there. And it's really nice. We get a lot, like I said, we get a lot of older folks and a lot of people that need a little help or just want to travel a little further. That can be just an all-out fishing rig. You can really set it up to hardcore fish, or if you just want it just as a cruiser, ultimate comfort, that's going to work perfect for you there too. And like I said, the overdrive system, super nice. You can put a pod in one and the drive in another, switch it back and forth, dual drives if you want. You can kind of convert that however you want it to be. Say you're going to go to the river. Missouri River's very shallow, a lot of shallow points. You want to go with no drive, throw a couple pods in there, you're good to go. But then also very easy to put fish finders on that thing. You could put a pod in it, put your battery in the pod, mount your fish finder on the front. You got the fish finder where one of your guys could use that. You could do multiple fish finders. I mean, you can really set that thing up to be really anything you want it to be. I know Bixby has a pod adapter for that as well. If you didn't want to go with the motor in the pedal drive, maybe a little bit more of a budgetary help to do that because the Bixby's a little bit more inexpensive. So yeah, man, that's another kayak that just has a great platform and would be just easy to build or just take out the way it is.
I'm going to pull up the NuCanoe Unlimited, but we can also talk about there's a few other models of the NuCanoe that could possibly work as tandems too. But let's start with the Unlimited.
Yeah, so you're referring to the U10. So we have the Unlimited and the U10. So you have the big brother and the little brother. Both absolutely amazing kayaks. Stability really second to none. Um, very, very nice kayaks. Uh, really open platforms. The nice thing about the Unlimited specifically is that could be a duck boat, that could be a river boat, that can be a big water lake boat, ocean boat. It's really set up to be whatever you want to turn it into. That being said, it's set up so that you can actually convert that with the track system that the seat sets in. You can put another seat in it. For people who just want to get in their cove and hang out, we can put that other seat in there. For people who want to hardcore fish, you do have the 360 seat, which is super nice. You want to spin around and eat lunch. You want to spin around and hand your rod to dad to let him get the bee's nest out of it. You can,
Yeah.
it's easy to communicate and to do things when those seats do that. So um, it's a very good platform. You still have some room, and that's the biggest difference between the U10 and the Unlimited. In the Unlimited, you have room to go ahead and put your pod in there if you want, and do some more things. The U10, of course, it can be a tandem, but it's a smaller boat. It's 10 foot, so you're more limited on the U10 as to what you can build because of the length of it. And if you're a bigger guy, especially two adults, the weight capacity on the Unlimited is amazing. So two people in that is no problem. You step into the U10, and I feel like you'd be a little tight with two adults in that. But with the NuCanoe Buddy seat, which is only like $50, it's just a basic bench seat like a canoe seat. That is awesome for kids. Um, you can add that to a NuCanoe and either the Unlimited or the U10 and turn that into a really family oriented boat. I know I have a family member that has a Unlimited, first time kayaker, bigger guy, and he will get in that thing, and his grandkids will climb in and out of it, jumping off, swimming, um, and he's totally comfortable in it, even when he's turning his seat, doing all that. So that's a great kayak to turn into a tandem because of the stability of it. And that's one thing with kayaks. It's like canoes, like motorcycles, like anything. When there's two people on it, not only are you balancing, but you're counterbalancing your partner. Um, so a very stable kayak, and most of the ones we've talked about all are very stable. That's a key feature. And I would think that out of all the kayaks that we're talking about today, the Unlimited is probably going to shine more than most when it comes to stability and two people being in that kayak. Like, I would have no problem saying that two people could stand in that kayak and fish.
Yep. And I second that too. And you can even look, because I've got the stats pulled up. It's 41 inches wide. It's probably one of the wide, unless you know of one, that might be the widest kayak on the market.
I believe it is, and I know there are some that are close or even equal, but it all comes down to hull design. I like the Frontier and I like the F10. The F10 is a very cool kayak, but night and day difference in the water between it and the U10. And a lot of people are like, why? When they're sitting side by side, they look exactly the same. Hull design, and people don't realize the amount of engineering that goes into these things, and the hull design is the key to all of it. Your primary and secondary stability are all based on how that kayak's designed. And in my opinion, the Unlimited and the U10 have hit it out of the park on that. The whole design is absolutely amazing, and it just makes the primary stability uh, absolutely amazing, where you never feel, uncomfortable in that kayak.
We could jump into some more recreational that could also double as a fishing kayak, because this one has kind of actually been one I've been to be looking at, is the Hobie iTrek 14 is kind of one of their newer kayaks. It's an inflatable tandem.
Yeah, I've never been on one. Hobie makes great products. Um, I have been on an iTrek, and I've been on an iTrek and a Lynx, and you can't hardly tell the difference. Um, the inflatables these days are absolutely amazing. And I know with that fin drive system, um, that boat has got to be fast for sure. The weight is huge. And that's, when you're talking about inflatables, that's really on a single, double, whatever you're trying to do. I know Hobie even has the four person version.
Yeah.
You're looking at weight. You're looking at hauling it. You're looking at, somebody who's hauling a camper and doesn't have room for all the kayaks, somebody who, wants to throw it in the trunk of their car. And the last couple of years through NRS and Wilderness Systems and Hobie, they all have been making inflatable kayaks that have like traditional kayak seats and conventional kayak drives. So they're no longer a pool toy. They're very usable, very durable, and very easy to use.
Yeah, and I will say Hobie's fin drives are some of the smoothest pedal drives. I mean, it's really hard to beat their fin drive system. It
Uh,
it is
yeah,
just so smooth, and it's worth noting though that with the inflatable you don't get reverse like you do in some of their other models.
right.
So it is just it's going forward. But what's cool about the iTrek Duo is it does come with both of those drives.
Yeah,
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think when you do buy this inflatable, it comes with the both seats and both two Hobie fin drives.
it does. It does, and you're right. That fin drive is what everybody else knocks off, um,
Yep.
and theirs is still considerably smoother than everybody else's. But that's what the leaders do, I guess.
Yeah, and I just like the idea, if you're someone like if you're RV and you don't want to either double haul or try to get a kayak up on the top of an RV or
Right.
something, this would be a great option for like travel or even family and recreation. I know you can add some rod holders, I think, to this, or is it maybe more with crates? I mean, you could definitely use this to fish, but
You're right.
this would be a really fun kind of throw it in your trunk, inflate it, and hit
Yeah.
hit any water with.
Take it on
And
a
the bag has wheels too, yeah.
Yeah, and
So,
take it on vacation.
yep.
You don't have to rent kayaks. You've got a good quality kayak. But another thing here at Lake of the Ozarks, I mean, the town of Osage Beach goes from 4,000 to 85,000 in the summer, and most of those people live in condos. Well, that inflatables are great for that because when you're done with it, you take it up, you put it in a closet, and you're done. You don't got to figure out where you're going to store it. You can't leave it on the dock because the condo association isn't going to let you. So they solve a lot of issues.
Uh, so you mentioned its durability. I would honestly think that would probably be one thing that would have even myself a little bit hesitant. I mean, how durable are they?
So with the stitch construction, um, they're pretty amazing. So the drop stitch technology is amazing. Everywhere there's a dimple on that kayak, there's a string that goes from one side to the other. So that's what allows you to go high pressure. And when you tap on it, it's hard. Uh, it makes it pretty amazing. There also is several layers. Really, I can tell you that we've been here for 3 years, and I think we've sold 2 patch kits. So,
Okay.
and we've sold a lot of product. And normally it's a hook. Somebody snapped a hook back. I have had a couple people fishing intercoastal who have had a fish's fin poke or something like that. But as far as just wearing out, never really a problem. Rocks, not really a problem. I know NRS, people talk about NRS because they do the pike and they sell a lot of those. No, it's not a tandem, but they started off doing whitewater rapid rafts. So, I mean,
Okay.
they make that kind of thing. They're used to it. Are they as durable as a hard side kayak? Probably not, but they also are built for what we're going to do with them.
Well, then jumping from Hobie inflatable, let's just jump to the Hobie Mirage Oasis.
So the Oasis, and we also let's throw in the Compass Duo in that.
Okay.
So the Compass Duo is, I consider the Compass kind of a hybrid. That is a kayak that if you just want to get on it and just take off and sightsee and bird watch and fish watch or whatever you want to do with it, it's a great platform. But it does have track, a little bit of track on it, so that could be a converted kayak. You could actually use that as a fishing kayak as well. And the Compass Duo is one that you could do it with. It's a great kayak to have down on your dock or take with you. And if you just want to get out in the mornings and just buzz around, great. You want to jump in it and go do some fishing, you can do that as well. Now, I will say it's not as set up for fishing as your Sauger, your CK2, or your Unlimiteds, but you have the capability. The Oasis, on the other hand, is really it's not a fishing kayak. It is super fast, but it is more of just a touring recreational kayak. Both very comfortable. Both have the amazing Hobie drives in them. And I would recommend them if that's the application that you have. Both of those are great boats.
Yeah, and so it looks like the Oasis 2 does come with the 180.
Yeah.
So I don't know, did the Compass come with that? Or
It,
was
it,
that just
the Compass does. Yes.
the 180? Okay.
Yes.
So at least in those models, you do get that reverse. It's
Yeah.
and it's easy as pulling. You can kind of see I've got up on the screen. There's two little cords that come off the front, and there's a green for forward and a red for reverse, and you just pull them,
Yeah.
and that's how you do it. It's pretty simple. Okay, so you mentioned this one's not necessarily. I mean, obviously you probably could fish from it, but it's not built for that.
Not really.
But you said fast, and
Yeah.
so
No.
more recreational.
And know that all of this is subjective. You could
Yeah.
add track to anything. I mean, I've added track to Lifetime or Sun Dolphin kayaks from Walmart that
Yep.
somebody's want to do. So you could do that. I'm just saying that the Oasis does not come with rod holders. It does not come with any of that. Now, Hobie does have a lot of different add-ons. You know, the bimini tops and the things like that you can do to them and make them just super comfortable.
And the last thing I think I'll mention, I'll throw in one bonus one that I don't know if it technically qualifies as a kayak, but we threw in the Neptune inflatable fishing boat. Now, are you able to get a second seat in that?
So you can, but to be honest, you don't really need a second seat because one person can sit in the seat and then one person can sit on the back deck
Oh, okay.
where you use your tiller handle. So I personally, if I was doing it as a tandem, I would not put another seat in it because I think that just takes up more room. Me personally, if I was taking that boat out, I wouldn't put a seat in it at all. I would use it almost like a John boat, and I would have somebody sit on the front deck, and then somebody sit on the back deck, and then have all of that deck space to be able to walk around. Now, if you wanted to, mount your fish finders and everything on the back of the seat like it's set up to, then I just have somebody sit in that front seat and somebody sit on the back. But I mean, that thing would be an amazing tandem. It would be fine to use. I mean, I don't know if you're even limited to just two people, to be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a large kayak. If there was anything that I was going to put, me, my wife, and a grandkid or another person in, another smaller person, that boat would be the one.
Yeah. I mean, it's got an 880-pound capacity, so
Yeah, yeah.
and we did a full review and a video on that. So on our Eco Fishing Shop YouTube page, so you should go check that out because the way it inflates, it's quick, it's not difficult. It packs up pretty small for how big the boat is. For that, you would probably need some sort of motor, though. Correct?
Yeah, and you can do the e-propulsion or Newport, Torpedo. Really, anybody. You can do an electric tiller handle. You can also buy a gas tiller handle if you wanted. You can push that with that. Also, with that front deck, we do put motor guides on them quite a bit. So it's kind of nice because you can actually stand up on that front deck, but you can put your motor guide up front, use your spot lock and all that, but then use your motor in the back to get where you're going. Yeah, that's a versatile boat. You can do about anything with it.
But I do think it just comes down to your preference. What do you think you're going to do? When I was originally going to look, when I first kind of even started with the Eco Fishing Shop, I had talked about doing the Vanhunks Sauger, and you kind of helped walk me through that. Most of the time, I was going to be going fishing by myself, and I was going to do some river fishing, so that kayak might not have been a great fit for that. So if you think you're going to always be a tandem, that totally changes what you can do. If you think you're going to want to mostly do solo with the ability to throw a family member or a loved one in with you, then those more modular kayaks like the CK2 and the NuCanoes are going to be a good bet. So it really is kind of focusing in on what you think you're going to.
Yeah, and when you're shopping for one of these guys, really look at like what does the kayak come with. If it has a rudder, then it's easier to be able to do by yourself if you ever want to go by yourself. And I always use the 80-20 rule. Whatever I'm going to be using 80% of the time, that's what I want it to work for. And that's when I talked to you. I was like, how often are you going to go two people? And if it's not that often, then the Frontier or the Unlimited or the CK2 are great options because use it as you want to use it. You want a tandem, change it over for the weekend. But these others, you just have to pay attention and really shop them out.
I like the 80-20 rule. That's going to be my new go to.
Yeah,
I like that. That's a great rule.
absolutely. And guys, you can reach out to us on the forum to ask any questions that you have. Feel free to call the store, hit us up on chat, whatever you need to do. We'll help you get through it and help you figure out what boat is going to work best for your application.